Survivor Series, one of WWE's Big Four pay-per-views, including Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam. But, given the build, or lack thereof, in this case for this year's Survivor Series, many people are wondering if it's time to go back to the drawing board. This has been the subject of debate for quite some time, not even recently, but this has been the subject of debate for a couple of years now. Is the brand versus brand concept working? Well, I guess you could say that it did work initially when they started to do the brand supremacy stuff when the brand split returned in 2016, where, in my belief, 2016 and 2019 were the best Survivor Series in the second iteration of the brand split. Although I will say 2020 was fairly decent, except for that 5v5 women's match, which we're not going to talk about. But I've been seeing it a lot online lately, whether it be on YouTube or the rest of the internet, in several articles, that this is being called the worst built pay-per-view ever. Well, here's the thing. I don't disagree entirely with that statement. Is it the worst built pay-per-view in history? No. I have seen much worse built pay-per-views before. So, in my opinion, no, Survivor Series 2021 is not the worst built pay-per-view ever. But I think it is safe to say, as someone who does enjoy WWE programming, that this is the worst built pay-per-view of the year. One thing that we have to keep in mind is that Survivor Series is the last pay-per-view of the year. There will be no December pay-per-view, which is traditionally taken up with TLC. TLC will not be happening next month in December, and instead it will be replaced by Day 1 on, January 1st, 2022. And then the Royal Rumble will kick off Mania season. Survivor Series will also be the last pay-per-view of next year. So you would think that they would be pulling out all the stops to go out with a bang. And do I think that the show itself will be good? I think it will. There were a lot of pay-per-views that I've seen that had somewhat decent to mediocre build, but the actual show itself was fairly enjoyable. But I do think that when it comes to the brand versus brand concept, Survivor Series, in my opinion, that's hurt Survivor Series. Now, I know that a lot of people have said that there's no brand loyalty and that the draft is the number one thing that actually messes it up. And I'm going to be honest, I do agree with that. I do think that one way to potentially fix Survivor Series, should they continue with the brand versus brand concept, is to have the draft after Survivor Series, or have the draft before Survivor Series at a fairly reasonable time, like have the draft in, let's say, August, because originally the draft was going to be held in August this year. Instead, it was held in October. So October and then November. So Survivor Series was the next month, so that obviously hurts the concept. So I do think that Survivor Series has basically been, in a way, just kind of like, it's there, it's one of the big four, but it doesn't really feel like the biggest of the big four. It's probably just dead last in terms of the big four pay-per-views. Some might even say, including myself, that Money in the Bank has basically replaced Survivor Series as a big four pay-per-view, or at least expanded it so that you have your big five, which is Rumble, Mania, Money in the Bank, SummerSlam, and then Survivor Series. So, even still, Survivor Series would probably rank dead last because the other four, there's more hype to them. There's more that you can sink your teeth into. So, it's a big issue because as much as I love WWE programming, and you can at me all you want when I say that, one thing that I do agree on when it comes to many of the people being critical of Survivor Series as a whole is that, yeah, the brand supremacy, brand loyalty thing just isn't working out as well as it once did in previous years. There have been no invasions for the build-up to Survivor Series, or at least no big invasions that everyone looks forward to, like the Raw and SmackDown invasions in 2016 and the NXT invasion of 2019. Obviously, they didn't do any of that last year because of COVID, but now that crowds have returned, I don't really see... I mean, there should be an invasion. There should have been an invasion on Raw, and there should be an invasion on SmackDown as of the time of recording. I really hope that there is an invasion for tomorrow night's SmackDown, but I wouldn't be surprised if there isn't. There is so much, unfortunately, this year that they have failed to capitalize on, like the Charlotte versus Becky controversy. Whether or not you believe it to be a work or a shoot, that's neither here or there. The point is that they kind of failed to capitalize on what was a hot story for at least a couple days. But I think that match will be pretty good. I'm not going to make a predictions video on Survivor Series. This is just me talking about my issue with Survivor Series. This isn't to say that there haven't been any good matches in Survivor Series ever since the second iteration of the brand split, because there clearly have. But I do think that there should be some stakes to the pay-per-view. Like, the winner gets, the winning brand gets, I don't know, they get to pick their spots in the Royal Rumble, or the winning brand will have someone get a, guaranteed championship opportunity. Like the Sole Survivor or something will get a guaranteed championship opportunity. Or the winning brand gets extra draft picks or something. I'm not sure if that last one will actually get any more people to care, but at this point, Survivor Series is just WWE's version of the All-Star Game. And, well, we all know how a whole lot of people, when it comes to regular sports, feel about All-Star Games. Not many people get excited about them. It's just there. There are no stakes. And at one point, I was annoyed when people said, "Oh, there are no stakes, blah, blah, blah," because there literally were no stakes. There haven't been any stakes for Survivor Series, like, ever since the beginning of this second brand split, but they still managed to put out at least a few good shows overall. So, if you're willing to look past the fact that, oh yeah, there are no stakes, then sure, go at it, enjoy it by all means. I am fairly confident that this is going to be a pretty good show, actually, this Sunday. But I just think that Survivor Series has just basically been, like, there are some people in the IWC that think, oh, well, they should get rid of Survivor Series as a whole. No, they should not. But if something isn't done that will make the show as a whole interesting in terms of new concepts that you could do, Survivor Series will be WWE's forgotten big pay-per-view, and eventually will probably, if not, it probably has already been replaced as a Big Four show by Money in the Bank, which most people now consider to be WWE's unofficial, Big Five pay-per-view. So I don't know, like, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that the build to Survivor Series this year has been good. It hasn't. It hasn't. It's underwhelming. It's quite possibly the most underwhelming built show of the year and the worst built show of the year. But once again, I don't think that when we actually sit down and watch it, I don't think it's going to be a bad show. I just think that the build it just hasn't been good. So, yeah, that's about it. I'll see you in the next video.